Hello everyone and welcome back to another New World video. As you could probably tell from the title, I'm pretty excited about this new March update that's coming up. I actually posted a video yesterday about the reveal of what kind of content that's coming in March, but by the time I uploaded that video, I ended up realizing that there was a PTR patch note, like a full set of patch notes on what's coming on the PTR. I didn't know that before the video, so I didn't make a video on that, and since it's been a whole day, I thought I would do something different. But if you do want a full breakdown of the patch notes, I will leave a link of the patch notes in the description. I'm sure there are a ton of videos that go more in depth into the patch notes than I am in this video. What I'm going to be doing in this video is showcasing a few things that stand out to me, because as you can see, if I wanted to go over this whole thing, it would probably take over an hour. I would assume that this is a bigger list than the February one, which is kind of insane to think about. And we also have to think about the fact that this is patch 1. Usually in the PTR there's multiple patches that they add some stuff to, but this is a ton of stuff and I'm actually excited, so let's get into it. So since we're finally getting some content after being deprived for months, obviously I'm very excited for the content that's going to come out, but what I'm more excited about is the actual changes that they've made that aren't necessarily content. They're just more quality of life more than anything, but it does say a lot about the direction of the game and the way the devs feel about the game. So obviously we got the expedition, the quests, the blunderbuss, and everything new that's going to come. Although I still have my doubts, I feel like there's going to be some kind of PvP game mode that's coming out that they're not mentioning. I will make a video if that comes out later, but as of now there's no word on that. So in the previous video I did predict that there's going to be dynamic world content, things like, you know, world bosses and things that just pop up as you explore the map, and you could pretty much find them and kill them and whatever. These are great. They definitely make the world feel a lot more alive. It's also nice to interact with the world in a different way every time. Even small stuff like the winter convergence, the lost presents, those were really cool to just find on the road. So I'm definitely excited about these. So the first thing I want to talk about is ruffle bones. We don't know what it is. To me it kind of sounds like it's like a wolf or something, but they pretty much spawn randomly around the map. You get to interact with it and you have 45 seconds to kill him before he flees, and it seems like there's worthwhile rewards based off of what level you are. So for level 60 players, you will get obsidian gypsum on killing any level of ruffle bones, as well as getting 500 umbral shards. This gives legitimate incentive for people to always interact with these guys every time they see them, maybe even tell their company mates where they are so they could all come and get the rewards. With the winter convergence, it was just between people that wanted the items versus people who didn't, or people who already grinded it out and now they don't need it anymore. But this seems like it's something that will always be worthwhile. But here's another thing I'm excited about. They're actually adding more dynamic world content for lower level players. Examples being Stinky the Hunter, questionable name, but there's this dude that walks around Weaver's Fen and he drops worthwhile items for level 30 players, which seems that he drops items that he actually carries on himself. Another one is the Forgotten Yeti. So apparently the Yetis are coming back. They're only going to be in the Great Cleave and they're going to have level 45 standard elite rewards. There's also other open world stuff, early to mid level 30 players. On top of this, there is a pretty big change that is going to come to new players that spawn on the beach for the first time. So instead of basically being forced to use the sword and shield until you find new weapons, you are given a choice of 4 weapons on a weapon rack to choose between the warhammer, fire staff, bow, or hatchet. And with each weapon there comes some extra stuff to help you out, things like chest armor, light healing potions, and some rations. And honestly, to me, obviously it doesn't make a difference because I'm not a new player, but the reason why I'm excited is because what this tells me is that Amazon Games is expecting a new influx of players to come on the game, whether they're returning players or people who see the game is popping and they're interested and they want to buy the game. This will help the experience for those new players so they don't run into the same issues that the new players like us had when the game just launched. So because of that, I'm honestly expecting some big stuff to come out. But aside from that, the reason why I'm excited for these updates is because there's a ton of quality of life updates or changes that they've made, and most of these I was reading through them and I was super excited because a lot of these things were issues that people were complaining about for so long, and they're actually listening and making these changes accordingly. So I'm just going to list a few of these and give my thoughts on them. So a simple one is the queue requirement for the expedition. Now you only need one person at the entrance of the expedition to start the actual expedition, and your entire group can pretty much teleport from wherever they are. So now instead of forcing 3 people from the group to actually head to the expedition, the person with the orb could literally just start the expedition and everyone will teleport from whatever they were doing. Obviously issues like these were taken care of when they nerfed the Azoth and the fast travel, and it's pretty much dirt cheap to fast travel now. But even though this is a really small change, it's a really nice one and it does improve the experience of the player. A big one that people have been complaining about or should I say suggesting, is the mechanic of accessing your inventory while you're running. From what I'm understanding, you could either auto run or literally use your movement keys, and you could still access your inventory and do whatever you need. This has been talked about for so long, and I'm glad that they're finally adding it. Another cool thing that they have implemented is the ability to see the health, mana, and stamina bars when a player enters combat. And another thing is the arrows and the ammo. You pretty much have an infinite number of these base ammos, but obviously you could craft the higher ones that do more damage. But this is a cool one because honestly sometimes I find myself running around with a bow without an arrow. I pretty much end up using one weapon, so this is a really good change. On top of this, I believe seeing that they have also removed the actual weight of these arrows and bullets, so you could pretty much have a ton of these and it won't affect your inventory. They have also added the option of queuing for wars and invasions from your map. Although for wars I do actually enjoy seeing everyone rush to the settlement to, you know, start the war and like kind of wait for the war to start. It is a nice change, especially for invasions. Like, who the hell wants to go to the settlement to enter an invasion? Like, no one cares. So it's really nice to actually be able to enter the queue for war or invasions, pretty much carry on with what you're doing until either you're selected or the war starts. So that's pretty convenient. They have also added a way to make moving houses a lot easier. Players can now get half the original cost of the house when they're abandoning it, so it kind of makes it less of a waste and you could actually move with ease of mind. They have also doubled the storage bonus for all the tier storages. An example they gave was if your specific storage in your house gives an additional 200 storage, now it's going to turn that into 400. That's going to be a massive change, especially for people who have the max amount of storages in their houses. I think I have like 2,000 or 3,000 bonus storage just from my house, and that's going to pretty much turn into 4,000 or 6,000. That's a huge change, and I'm glad that they're finally addressing the storage issue. Another thing that has been requested for a very long time is the player-to-player collision. They've actually removed this from the open world expeditions and invasions, so pretty much now you don't get to bump into players, people don't get to body block you, although this doesn't mention things like OPR, so I'm assuming that's still going to be a thing in OPR, but that's not as big of an issue as running an expedition and bumping into players and in open world and stuff like that. So that's definitely a positive change. They've also added more small changes to the storages, such as the cost associated with moving items from one territory to another. Now that's pretty much free, there's literally no cost, and on top of this, your faction doesn't even need to own both territories to do it. And the last thing I'm going to mention for quality of life is the fact that only your equipped items are going to lose the durability when you die instead of everything in your inventory. That's a pretty nice change. It was kind of annoying and it obviously costs a lot of unnecessary amount of gold. On top of this, they've also added a few things in the game that kind of makes your life a lot easier. For example, when you're harvesting, logging, and mining, there's a percentage chance that you're gonna unearth motes, coins, or diamond gypsum. Another one that's interesting is you could also get elite boss arena keys as a drop from enemies that are surrounding the elite zones. To be honest with you, I didn't want to spend any of my time or my resources on crafting these keys, so that's pretty cool that I could just drop. And on top of everything, there is an insane amount of bug fixes, visual glitches, and sound effect glitches and stuff like that. Not to mention that I probably didn't even go over all the notable changes. These are just the ones that kind of stood out to me. We've been talking about these things for such a long time, and the fact that they're making these changes so early is huge. If I missed any notable features or bug fixes that you guys think is worth mentioning, definitely leave it down below. Like I said, this is a huge list, so it's definitely not impossible to miss a few things from this list, but that's pretty much it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.